one of the things that I like most is that like it's not a film about like we're so hot and we're funny because I think that we are, but like, but I think it's really fun to be able to have a script where the focus is about the story and the humor rather than it being necessarily about, having it look a certain way to then be sellable.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. This film is so wild, so much fun. I'd love to start with Heidi and ask what inspired this story?
I had a hard divorce. No, I actually I went on a divorce party for a friend, and we just got a little overserved in Napa, but it it inspired some things. And my friend who is getting divorced, she just kind of put this bug in my ear that it's very expensive to get divorced and very hard to untangle two people's lives. And so I kept kind of thinking about that, and then from there, I didn't want to make a traditional story about a couple getting divorced. I kind of wanted it to be a female focused comedy about one's support system while going through a divorce.
I love that. You really see the group dynamic and just that strong friendship throughout this film. I'd love to go around to everyone and ask like what the audition process was like for this film. Maybe Desiree, if you want to start.
Well, sure. I got lucky because me and Heidi conspired together in 2020. We were in a writers group together, and I'm a producer as well, and I was looking for a project. And when I saw this script and these characters, I was like, oh my gosh, we got to do this. We got to make this happen. So we kind of started it off, and then it just started rolling from there. I was really drawn to Zan because I haven't seen many lead females that get to be messy and get to both be fun, but also have a lot of heart and dark moments and have to like come on the other side, a better version of themselves. And then from there, it was finding the rest of this amazing crew that has been the best experience of my life.
Love that. What about for you, Michelle?
It was, I think I taped maybe three times for Heidi. I had also met Heidi at the same writers group, I think, through a mutual friend, and but not, I'd never got to do a reading for my divorce party, I don't think. And then she had reached out, and I got to send a lot of tapes and kept calling saying, any updates? What's it look like?
So why don't you tape again? Just taping for
Like,
me.
I would do it again in a heartbeat.
I love that. What about for you, Rumer?
I just barreled my way in, as I do with everything. No, a mutual friend was helping work with the casting, and he, gave me the script, and then I think I don't remember if I had like a meeting with you first or if I read with you, and I was just laughing so hard with Heidi, and we kept getting really distracted as I was reading, which is deep foreshadowing for the future as we were filming. Um, but I just thought it was quite funny, and I agree too that I hadn't found many things that were female driven other than say Bridesmaids or like big ensemble things that really allowed deep kind of comedy where that also wasn't about being attractive. One of the things that I like most is that like it's not a film about like we're so hot and we're funny because I think that we are, but like, but I think it's really fun to be able to have a script where the focus is about the story and the humor rather than it being necessarily about, having it look a certain way to then be sellable, which is because I'm not that, by any stretch of the imagination. I definitely feel like I'm in like the other category of weirdness. So I like when there are things that have a little bit of that.
I love that. What about for you, Sarah?
I actually I got an audition for this because I had auditioned for a TV series that a friend of mine was the lead of, and I didn't get it. And the director or the writer of that show, was like, you should audition for this movie. You're great. I mean, which goes to say it's like you just put your best work out there that you possibly can all the time, and you don't always get it. But, I always heard the job is to book the room, not the role. And I read it and I thought it was so funny and totally, when I auditioned for Sam, she felt like exactly my sense of humor, very quick, sort of sarcastic and a little dark and sexual. I don't know if I should say all that as my sense of humor, but uh, and I auditioned, and when I got the call back, I was actually really nervous. I had no idea how I was going to do this thing on a computer, because I was so used to going in person. Uh, but I read with Des at my callback and talked to Heidi, and I found her to be the most delightful little peach that ever was. And so I was very excited or should I say eggplant? No. So anyway, that's how I got here.
And what about you, Kimia?
Well, I'd just like to say originally I was too hot to be in this movie. But then I pulled through. I'm kidding. I also did readings of this script in that writers group that Heidi and Michelle had mentioned. And I had worked with Des before we did a short film together. And so they were so kind enough to think of me to send me an audition for this amazing movie. And I think I sent in my tape very late, though. I'm so sorry, Heidi, but I do think I slated and said I love you because I was panicking because I was like, wow, I'm so late. I don't know if you remember that I said I love you in that slate, Heidi, and we had not met before.
Ew, I
That
remember
was nice.
Okay. And then from there, I was so lucky to just slip through. They just hitched me along. It was one of the more easy audition processes because I had met these people before, maybe. So that's maybe how that went for me.
I love that. It's like everybody kind of either you have a connection or you never know, like once you meet somebody, what could happen, which leads to an incredible film like this. And I loved what you guys mentioned about just like it being a female focused project. What was that like on set, having just like, a room full of women every day?
Nightmare. Just kidding. This is the problem. This is I feel like you'll get really quickly like when all of us can meet each other, it's just like immediately we just start ribbing each other and start with the jokes, and that's pretty much how it was every day. It was probably the most delightful thing to shoot. I can definitely say for me because we were all I felt like the goal of the day was just to make each other laugh
Yeah.
somehow, like see what we could squeak in to just like get the other one during a take, especially Heidi. Like I just was torturing her with just trying to like add in weird lines or like say things in a funny way. But I had such a delightful time with these gals. We had like the probably one of the most delightful times I've had.
Yeah, I feel like I think the really interesting part was that maybe we had all known each other in a different way or loosely. And we weren't really like it wasn't like we were a tight-knit friend group, but it felt like from the very first day on set that all of a sudden it just like got right in there. I mean, I don't know, I'm speaking obviously for myself, but I was really nervous. You just don't know what's going to happen when you show up on a set with a group of people and we're supposed to have been friends since college. So some of us are in the movie are supposed to have known each other for like 20 years, and it's like, you don't know if that magic sort of gets all in together or not. And I think the lovely thing was that it felt like we had all known each other. The inside jokes sort of happened almost immediately. Every ride home, back to our hotel, we would sing Easy on Me by Adele in harmony to our driver's dismay. I mean, but it was just, we certainly by the end, but it was really interesting to see that day one, it just felt like we all slid right into our sort of prospective other roles of being friends on this set, which was really, I just thought that was really refreshing and a wonderful surprise.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Oh, I'm just like imagining the harmonies.
They were very good. Very, very impressive.
Don't encourage us because we'll do it now and it won't sound as good on Zoom. It won't sound as good on Zoom.
But I love that. Like you could see that, that chemistry that you guys built. So like, I don't know if anyone else has anything to add of just like how you built that rapport or like what the rehearsal process was like for the film.
Well, we only had one read of the script before, and then we all went to Joshua Tree together. So that was just, I mean, I think that also fostered it too, because it was during COVID. We were like this bubble, just us. And, there were like 3 restaurants we could go to, Kitchen in the Desert, shout out there. But when you're in a place where you are kind of isolated, it did feel like summer camp. And then again, just what was really cool is female cast, our producers, our cinematographer, and it was just such a cool space to like experiment. And all these gals are hysterical and are cracking me up again within 5 minutes. So it's just like such a treat to get to work off of each other, just when you've got that professionalism. And then also everyone's sense of humor is different, but like insanely amazing. It's just, we were going from there. We're off to the races.
I love that. Was there any
living at the Best Western, the luxury of the Best Western desert?
Glamour. Top tier glamour.
Yeah, glamour. Just like Glamour Toad Central.
I think they call it trauma bonding. I think that's what really forces the camaraderie out the gate.
Although
shove them in a Best Western.
Rumer's room was amazing, and like it was like carefully curated. I like walked into Rumer's room and I was like, the vitamins, the like
it's like walking into an anthropology like display room.
I was
so she had like bedspreads and like tapestries and like
I travel differently now. I'm serious. I just did a show in Arizona for 2 months and I was like, I'm gonna bring my lovely throw and my specific pillow. Like I was very inspired. Rumer really made the Best Western like chic. It was amazing.
I love it. That's awesome. That is amazing. I wanted to ask if you guys had any routines or methods that you use to just like help you get into character at all. Any like processes?
Kimia?
Yeah.
Me? Processes. Well, you know what? Because we were all in the same place for the 3 weeks that we made this movie, the process sort of built itself in that we were, as you mentioned, hanging out with each other, being with each other. The important part of these characters is, the traits as written of them individually, but for this specific movie, it was more important the way we react to each other and behave in a group as an ensemble. So our preparation was that Heidi trapped us in the desert and we had to live together and summer camp it up. That like replaced the process, at least for me, I think.
And inadvertently, I feel like because of the natural balance of a group of people, we started slipping into the roles of our characters, not necessarily like literally, but the role that we played within our group dynamic. I feel like it just enhanced, being trapped in the desert really truly was. Between that and sitting in hair and makeup, which I think because it was 5 women, we had a pretty long hair and makeup call for everybody. Yeah. And that always enhanced the transformation that was already kind of bubbling under the surface because of the Best Western.
Yeah, we should have done like a documentary of the getting 5 girls ready in 2 hours, which, day 1 was a process, but by day 3, it was like, we figured it out. Who starts in makeup, who starts in hair, but that is like, and props to the hair and makeup department, because the looks and costumes as well, like
amazing.
So specific. And I think that was really special in this film too, that every character was thought out from head to toe. But yeah, that was its own like, you know, race, amazing race to get us all ready by call time.
I was gonna say that too. I definitely wanted to shout out, like, I feel like the hair and makeup, and for me at least, like the wardrobe, I don't think I've ever been on a set where I was so stoked every day to put on an outfit that immediately made me feel like just cooler than I am as a person. You know, like this character, my character was like very dry on the page, and I was like, man, these gals are really fucking funny. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. How do I like find a way in here? And then when I did my wardrobe fitting and I found these really cool pieces, and then started talking like Ron Burgundy halfway through, had to like go with it. But there was such definition even in like our hair and makeup. Like Michelle rolled out day hard, came in
Literally.
like, and there was just such, I guess, care in 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 the smaller things that I think help build your character and how you fit into the group, that even though, you know, we hadn't necessarily sat and done tons of rehearsals, being able to come in and visually you're so strong in whoever you are. I felt like the first scene when you're seeing all of us roll up, even if you don't know who we are, you know who we are. You know how we fit together. There's a general sense. And I think when a costume and makeup team is able to do that, I think the ability to like aid in the storytelling, I think just, you know, it enhances it so much more.
Absolutely, all those details. Oh, go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, I was just going to say that I feel like it's all of these things combined. And I feel like it sort of goes along even with what Kimia was saying about being trapped in the desert. In a way, the sort of family and friendship extended far beyond just us. Like, you know, I remember, I think it was towards the end, Rumer had been talking to our set designer, Liz, and was like, and the way that they were talking, I was like, oh my God, where did you work with Liz before? And she's like, I've just met her on this film. And I had no idea that they had just met. It was so amazing to see how much the cohesiveness extended far beyond. And I think that really allowed for trust between each of our own individual sort of processes in the morning or getting ready, and then also shooting, which I think is, you know, you don't see that all the time. And you know, sometimes it feels so separate, but something about this sort of like what Des was saying, like the summer camp aspect of it, of being sort of in one location all together, but the generosity of each person from cast to crew was allowed for, just allowed for so much trust that we were really able to sort of like try things, go in there, and also get things done when they needed to get done. I mean, this is indie film, so it's not like we have the luxury of being like, we're going to do a bunch of reshoots if this doesn't go right. You know, it's like, we've got 10 hours, you guys. We've got things to do. So I think that was one of the most important processes was literally just the trust that, you know, the costumes, that hair and makeup departments, the cast, our fellow actors, everything on down was like right there.
Wow. Going off of that, I'd love to hear what was either, it could be like a favorite or a more challenging moment while filming, just something memorable maybe for each of you while filming this movie.
The wind.
So many. The wind was its own character for sure. Yeah.
I think for me personally, the most challenging was day one, because it was the first group scene that we had together, and I had to wear like 6-inch platform sandals in the desert, riding what are they called? A dual
tandem bike.
Thank you. Tandem bike, in a yellow glittery onesie. And I had never met, this was the first, I mean, aside from the reading, this was basically the first time we've met. And I was genuinely terrified, but I didn't have a choice. You just, as soon as they yell action, you got to ride that bike. So
if that doesn't sell you on watching this movie, I don't know what will. Is that kind of
Michelle brought a level of commitment that made all of us have to step up.
Probably perfectly crafted by Heidi. It forced us all to be like, this is the level that we got to start at with our vinyl cow print jackets and our glitter and our wool.
She also had to drag a suitcase behind her on the bike, so it was one-handed.
Thank you, Heidi.
I feel like my favorite memory was deciding on the last day of shooting, on maybe the second to last day of shooting, that my character was also Black, white, and Jewish, and then like throwing in random like Hebrew words, which I am Black, white, and Jewish, so I know what I'm saying, but I was like, I don't know, there was just some like really wonderful, each of us had our own sort of ad-lib moments that came out during shooting, and that was mine, but that wasn't really discovered until like the second to last day. So that was fun.
There's a scene with Dion, who is in the film, who's someone I actually knew from like way before. And I don't think I've like done a scene where I was trying so hard not to laugh, and was also just like wildly surprised at what was coming out. And this is someone I've known for like, 11 years, and just trying to like really hold it together while someone's flailing. I don't want to give anything away, but like, really just the level of commitment that was being brought. I think every day in different ways was just a delight. Nedward.
Mhm.
Word. I like any of the, our stunt scenes being like there was stuff every day that was just kind of ridiculous and fun. But I feel like it's very rare when you get to do a film when you're actually doing stuff. Because especially, look, you're in the desert, it's COVID, you have long days. We have, huge ensemble, multi-camera setups for everybody. If you're with the wrong group of people, be that behind the camera or in front of, that can be a nightmare. And I think there was so much silliness, and I'm super grateful to Heidi and our producers for just the level of play that was invited onto this set, because I think you can do a set and people don't really give a shit. They're like, this is the script, this is what we're doing, this is our story, which I totally respect and understand also. And we had such a delight adding in little bits and bobs and finding ways that I feel like even in some of the things that we added really showed then the humor and the relationships and the longevity of the relationships with it that were really fun to do and also to watch later.
Yeah, like the impromptu dance party that we had.
Oh yeah.
It's like so fun. Like that, I mean, it was supposed to be part of, and it's not giving anything away, but there's like a little moment where we're sort of dancing together, but then like Heidi got in there, and then like, it just like the fun stuff that all of a sudden, like producers were getting in there. Producers were doing like jumping jacks, squat jumps, yes. And like getting to like, I mean, it was, I feel like the morale, I totally agree with Rumer. Like the morale on set was so high, and it's so possible for it to go wrong. Like all it needs is like one sort of weird or negative energy coming in and being like, and like it falling off, the rails. But it didn't happen, and nobody got COVID, which was also awesome while we were shooting.
Yeah, I think we all just really felt this desire to like take care of each other, which again, I think the script lent itself to that, but I just felt so in great hands with these gals. And again, it being an ensemble film, it's so great to just get to work off of each other's energies. I'm remembering now, it just came to me, Rumer, you were driving the Jeep, right? Like when we were coming back, and it was after the mushroom scene, and this is like a little blip when we come into the hotel. But like that was like our second to last day and so fun. And all of us just ad-libbing because we're like, oh, I'm still on mushrooms. We're still dealing with that. And just, I think we did that like 5 times. And again, it was just like, we're gonna sing in between takes. It's like 2 a.m. And that's like how we got through, was just making each other laugh again, which was so much fun.
Oh, it just seems like you guys had such a blast. I really would have liked to watch the behind the scenes, all the fun stuff going on. Oh, that's awesome. And just to wrap things up, I'd love to hear if you guys can give us your best audition advice for, the viewers of the SAG-AFTRA Foundation's YouTube channel. We could go around.
Like, don't do it.
Oh, that was it?
I know. That's my advice. Kimia, just don't be an actor.
Okay.
I've been doing this for a very long time and I grew up in this, and I think the biggest advice I could give is like, you have to want it more than anything. You have to have a drive that, like, it can't just be like, I want to be an actor, like, cool. Like, you have to be hungry for it, and that's something that I feel like I really struggled with at the beginning of my career. And it's a totally different thing now. You not only have to be an actor, you have to do lighting and editing. And so, like, give yourself time to prepare, make it a job. Auditioning is a job. It's not, getting the job is not the job. Auditioning is a whole nother job that you have that's part of acting, but it's an entirely different job. And taking the time to like work on your craft and actually like do it in the same way that a carpenter would, that any other person would, it's something that I feel like now at this point in my life, really allowing the space and creating enough space in my life to really do. And even then, you never know. So you have to be hungry for it. It has to be something that like you can't live without.
Oh, okay. I was just thinking that we have to let go of the fear and the desperation of like getting it right, because when we went into the room, we used to get feedback, and now for the most part, auditions are in self-tapes, and the most success that I've had is sort of letting go of the desire to give them what they want and just do what I want, which sometimes involves breaking a lot of audition rules. For this movie in particular, and maybe I felt a little more empowered to do these things because it was a more communicative process because we were acquaintances, or I knew Heidi a little bit at the time. But I was using props, and I was eating, and I was throwing things, and I was, because you want to make the best tape that you can, and if that requires extra doodads, like just do it. Stop asking people, am I allowed to use this? Am I allowed to do that? Is my background okay? It doesn't matter. The performance is what it comes down to, and whatever enhances that performance is what you should do.
That's great advice.
Yeah, I always used to say, like acting is the one job where your job requirement is to find another job. And I think that there's something about that is important, which is just like, I think that for me, what is important when I get an audition is taking the preciousness out of it. Because sometimes when I'm like, oh my God, if I don't get this role, I mean, it's like, it's not going to be your last one. If you want to be an actor and you're going to be an actor, you're going to have a lot of them. They're going to come across your table, however frequently, up for negotiation and specific to each person. But like, you're going to have another one and another one and another one and another one. And so it's just part of the job to continue to open yourself up to that. And I think that just, I think that like really bringing your own self, people always say like, what is your perspective on this? Like, why did the casting director or the director choose these specific pages for your character to say, and go from there, and then really give it who you are. I think that Viola Davis once said, like, don't be me. Don't be Kerry Washington. Don't be these other people. Be your own, be you, in this role, because that's the only way that we'll see, that I feel like the person who's viewing the tapes will know what you bring to it, as opposed to like, this is me being Viola Davis. I feel like the best way to approach everything is like, what do I see? What do I feel from this? And then taking the preciousness out, that you got to book it. Because I got this movie by not booking something else, but being fully committed to that other thing. And so you just never know where it brings you.
Yeah, those are all, I mean, everyone said it. You be you, do what you want your way. I guess what I can add to it is, you just gotta like not be so hard on yourself. There's a lot of forgiveness that goes into it, but that like you can more easily forgive yourself if you had fun and were yourself and did what you wanted and you didn't think too hard about it. But like honestly, I look like this and I sound like this and I can't change any of that. And that's either correct or it's not, but that's who I am. And like, that's who anyone auditioning is ever going to be. So like, it's not about you doing a bad job. Everyone's always doing their best job. You did a great job. There's something else. There's going to be something else. It's all going to be okay.
I love that. I'd love to hear, Heidi, your perspective as well as, as a writer and director, when you're watching these tapes or watching auditions, your advice.
Yeah, I mean, all 5 of these women were the cast for a reason, and what Kimia has isn't what Michelle has, and vice versa. I was picking very specific people to fit their specific roles, and it is, and I don't want to say it's this X factor because honestly, listen. Having good sound is important. Good lighting is important. Like, can I hear the words being said? All of that simple stuff is important, but it's what are you bringing that wasn't in the script? Is it some kind of movement? Is it a pause that I didn't think was there before and now I can't live without? Is it a little head nod or something where it's like, oh, I want to see that you can bring something else to the table. And me specifically as a comedy writer and director, I want to see that you're funny. I want to see that I'm not having to hold your hand through these jokes, that you have good timing and things like that. And I think that just comes from a lot of practice and a lot of working with other people who are funny.
I love that. I love that. I want to thank you all so much for your time. People are going to love this movie. I think your advice has been incredible to hear, and I know it'll really help a lot of the people watching after the fact. And for anyone who wasn't aware, My Divorce Party is out on digital and VOD on April 30th. That's tomorrow. And again, I'm Kristen Maldonado. I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day. Thank you again.